talk about other candidates, but, Mike McCarthy is not a bad coach. Mike McCarthy will win a lot of games. To me, he's the offensive version of Mike Tomlin. He'll win games. He knows what he's doing. I do think he'll make it more of an offense-first franchise. They've been stuck spending a fortune on old defensive players. It is time to pivot. Does it feel edgy? Is it what the Rams would do or the Seahawks? No. Does it feel aspirational? No. But Pittsburgh isn't. That's not Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh loves Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's going to do what feels right for Pittsburgh. So this has always been a franchise that's insular, that doesn't operate like the rest of the league. It just feels kind of safe. So they haven't pivoted to offense. What would make any of us think they're going to pivot to a young, clever, aspirational, edgy, risky offensive coach? I mean, they can't even get the offensive coordinator position right. They don't show enough urgency at quarterback. I mean, what were the AFC playoffs this year? A bunch of 20-year-old quarterbacks and one team with a 40-year-old quarterback, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, and they just spend a fortune on defense where the rest of the league is spending it on offense. So it's kind of what they do. They're when you watch the Rams Seahawks play yesterday, you're talking about GMs that takes big swings, big risk. I mean, the Rams have had one first-round pick in like 9 years, Jared Verse. So the Seattle and the Rams and the cities are very tech cities. They've got a lot of young people in the city. They're, Seattle and the West Coast and Los Angeles, it's just their DNA is to take swings and take risks. And that's not Pittsburgh. That is not Pittsburgh. They're very comfortable being good, so they chose a Pittsburgh guy. Again, I think he's the offensive Mike Tomlin. He knows what he's doing. They'll win a bunch of games. I mean, every time Dak Prescott was healthy, they won like 12 games. But I will say this, with Mike Tomlin over the last 7 or 8 years and Mike McCarthy, when you do get into a game with like an Andy Reid or a Belichick in his prime or a McVay, you don't necessarily feel like you have the best coach. You don't have a bad coach, but you always kind of feel like the other guys are better on the details, a little more buttoned up. So that's where we stand today with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay, he's really leaning into the whole Pittsburgh Steelers persona. This particular hiring decision has me feeling a mix of conflicting emotions, to be perfectly honest. First and foremost, I'm not entirely sure who this brilliant, up-and-coming offensive mastermind is that's supposedly available for the Steelers to bring aboard at this specific juncture. Sure, you could theoretically take a swing at a Cliff Kingsbury or a Brian Daboll, but I'm not so convinced that's the optimal route to take right now. You could also aim for a Clint Kubiak, but I'm skeptical about the Steelers' ability to actually land him. I'm not certain Kubiak would be readily attainable. He seems to be in a position where he can essentially choose his destination. He might prefer a situation in Buffalo or undertake a full-scale rebuild in Las Vegas alongside Tom Brady. He's likely in the driver's seat, able to pick his preferred spot. But yeah, listen. To me, that would probably represent the best possible hire for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Clint Kubiak. However, again, only the Steelers front office truly knows if that's a realistic possibility. If they could get him, would they have to commit to a massive, unprecedented contract? I just don't have that insider information. There are conversations and negotiations that have been ongoing all season long and throughout the playoffs and off-season. Like everyone else, I'm just not privy to those details. So this hire might have been the best offensive coordinator available to them under the circumstances. And if that's genuinely the case, then I actually think it's a solid move. Not because I believe Mike McCarthy is some legendary, awe-inspiring coaching genius. I do think he's consistently underrated. I've discussed this before. He projects a sort of grandfatherly vibe, which unfortunately leads many people to undervalue him. From a media and public perception standpoint, Sean McVay comes across as intensely focused and strategic, and the media absolutely adores that. We were watching the game last night, and 80% of the commentary seemed to be about McVay. They love him. They love Kyle Shanahan. They love McVay. There's a certain intensity and aura surrounding those coaches. Mike McCarthy embodies the exact opposite. He radiates that friendly, reliable grandpa energy. It's like, hey, I've got my little granddaughter here, can you watch her for a bit? and you'd come back a few hours later to find him having a tea party, his nails painted, saying, "Oh, we had a wonderful time." It's endearing, but it's not the typical football guy intensity people associate with leadership. That persona honestly hurts how he's perceived in the cutthroat NFL landscape. But I do think he's a genuinely good coach. I do. I believe he's a very capable coach. Do I think he's an elite, top-tier mind? Absolutely not. However, as I've mentioned previously, Mike McCarthy possesses a distinct stabilizing ability. I'm not sure if he elevates teams to new heights, but he can absolutely stabilize them. He knows how to run a team, he understands how to conduct practices, manage meetings, and foster a professional culture. That wasn't necessarily what the Steelers were completely lacking, but they did urgently need to instill a coherent, productive culture from an offensive standpoint. They needed an experienced adult in the room to make sound offensive decisions, a role Mike McCarthy can certainly fill. Therefore, even though I don't view this as the long-term solution to usher in a bold new era for the Pittsburgh Steelers, in many ways, he functions almost as a bridge coach. We often discuss bridge quarterbacks. Well, he is a bridge offensive coordinator. You hire Mike McCarthy to rebuild this offense, to reestablish fundamentals and structure. If he surprises everyone and manages to get the team over the hump, then fantastic. But if he doesn't, he's competent enough to get you halfway there, or maybe 3/4 of the way. You will likely end up with a decent, functional offense, perhaps even a very good one. He just might not be the guy to get you over the top against elite defenses or other great coaching staffs. Then, when that new, hotshot coordinator emerges, someone whose name we might not even know right now, a John Smith who is the coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, and suddenly everyone wants him, you're in a far better position. You can say, look, we have a great offensive foundation now. We have a good team. We're going to move on from Mike and hire this rising star, and he will take us to that next level. Boom. So it's not really a terrible hire, because what you need immediately is to stabilize and rebuild this offense to a certain degree. That's precisely what Mike McCarthy brings to the table. I view that as a positive. I would rather navigate this situation right now than gamble on the potential volatility of a Brian Daboll or Cliff Kingsbury or others. Again, unless you can definitively land a Clint Kubiak, which I believe would be worth the pursuit. But since none of us truly know the likelihood of that, this move makes pragmatic sense. For all we know, the Steelers reached out to Kubiak's representatives and were politely informed he was focusing on other opportunities. I have no insider information, so this pragmatic hire of McCarthy isn't a disaster. It's a move to rework and rebuild the team with a steady hand. I see him as a bridge coach, and I believe that's honestly the best lens through which to view this appointment. Sometimes, when you have a bridge coach or a bridge quarterback, you can achieve pretty great things. You can surprise people, attract talent, and even win games. You can potentially make a playoff run. You can actually accomplish significant feats. That's why I still consider this a net positive, even if it's not the flashy home run hire of a Ben Johnson. Sure, that would have been awesome, but you can build this Steelers team into a competent, attractive destination under McCarthy. Then, even if you draft a quarterback, let's say you have the #1 overall pick, don't get fixated on specific names like Caleb Williams. You have confidence that Mike McCarthy is well-suited to develop that young player. You can have faith in his ability to handle that responsibility in a way you might not with some other, less proven coaching candidates. Furthermore, maybe those other candidates can work with a quarterback, but struggle with all the other organizational and cultural aspects. Mike McCarthy can handle both, even if he can't necessarily unlock a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, or a Lamar Jackson. That's okay. He can stabilize. He can build up. He might not unleash a historic offense, but he can construct a solid one and provide stability. Considering where the Steelers' offense has been in recent years, that in itself represents a win. So, look at this through the lens of a bridge coach. I believe that is honestly the most accurate and fair way to assess this hiring. And sometimes, in the NFL, that's as good as it gets for a particular moment in a team cycle. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Mike McCarthy being hired by the Pittsburgh Steelers? I'd especially love to hear from Steelers fans. Are you excited about this hire? Are you disappointed? Do you understand the rationale? Are you furious? Let me know your perspectives. I read every single comment, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, Let's get some discussions going. Let's get into some spirited debates. But ultimately, let's just have some fun engaging with this. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and would absolutely love to see you become part of it. I want to build something we all genuinely feel connected to, something we're really excited to be a part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much.